So in today's video, I just wanted to talk about why people are sowing things in January, because it's not a very good time to be sowing stuff. And there's only a handful of reasons why it might make sense. The first one is that you might be growing for show. And if you're growing for show, you might want the biggest possible plants, and you might want to be quite happy to give them loads of tender loving care in order to get the most amazing plants for show. And I don't do that, so that's not a reason that I would consider sowing in January. So the second reason is in order to get things out of the way. Now that is a pretty good reason. So sometimes you just don't have enough germination space in order to sow everything in February and March. So you want to sow loads of stuff in January, get it germinated and stick it in a cold greenhouse out of the way. And that's a pretty good reason, as I say. Sometimes that is a reason for me, although it's not too big a reason because I don't germinate in propagators or anything like that, apart from peppers and the odd tomato. I generally just germinate at room temperature. So I just find a corner of the house that's out of the way and I just stick some trays in that corner, often in the dark, and just wait for them to germinate there. So because I'm not using expensive propagator space, it doesn't generally matter to me. I don't normally run out of space. So the third reason is that you want to eat it early. So in my case, for example, I've just sown this tray of leeks, and I want to be eating these in August. So it makes sense for me to get these planted as quickly as I can and plant them out under cover, maybe a bit of protection fleece or something like that, just to bring them on a little bit, so that I'm harvesting them August rather than harvesting them sort of October time. And I'll have two more successions of leeks in February and March. They're really my main crop leeks, so you could consider these to be my first early leeks. The next reason is germination testing. So sometimes it does pay to sow now and find out whether you've got viable seeds. Because if you sow in sort of the middle to the end of February and then you leave your seeds and you might wait 3 weeks or something like that, then you might be running a little bit late. And rather than running a bit late and worrying about it, you might do a test sowing of seeds now to see how they germinate. And I do that quite a bit. And that results sometimes in something being a little bit early, maybe not so healthy, maybe not ideal from other perspectives. But it's worth it for me to know that those seeds germinated okay. And then I often decide not to compost those seeds, having learnt that, but to keep them and see how they do, and then make a judgment at planting time as to whether they're healthy enough, or whether, when I'm ready to sow the proper batch in middle of February, March or something, whether I can dispense with that batch and just use the early one. So that's a good reason. And then maybe not the final, but the next reason is contingency. So in this case, for example, I've just sown these North Holland Blood Red, and I've sown these as salad onions. Now it's actually a pretty good time to sow salad onions, not such a good time to sow main crop onions, but it's okay. You can get away with sowing main crop onions now. But the benefit and the reason I chose to sow these is because although they're a salad onion, they will bulb up if left long enough, and so they can be used as a main crop onion. And so it's kind of a bit of contingency. So I sowed these at only 5 seeds per module rather than 7 or 8, which I might do if I was doing salad onions. And if all of my main crop onions germinate, then I'll use these as salad onions. But if I did get a failed germination, say a red baron that I sowed maybe, first, second week in February, then I would use these North Holland Red as an alternative to those. And if my red baron germinate, then I'll just use these as salad onions. And it doesn't matter that I only sowed them 5 seeds per module, I'll just plant them closer together to get the same planting density that I would normally have with salad onions. And the final reason is a kind of timing window reason, maybe. So it might be that you really need to have a bed full of something at a particular time, and the only way to do that is to plant at a particular time. So in my case, I know I'll have lots of beds that I want to interplant stuff into in March, sort of early middle March. And in order to have, for example, these Zebrun onions ready middle of March, I've got to sow them in January rather than the middle of February. If I wasn't interplanting them, I'd do them in the middle of February. So that's another reason. And again, that's a good reason. And that's the reason I sowed these. So the general principle I'm following is, unless I've got one of those kind of really good reasons to sow something early, I'll only be sowing things that I want to eat in spring and early summer at this time of year. So I'll only be doing salad onions, lettuce, beetroot, spinach, things like that. I won't be doing things that I'm going to be eating in the middle of summer, or, you know, August, in the middle of summer, or September or October. So I won't be doing things like leeks. I won't be doing main crop brassicas. You know, I won't be doing those sorts of things. I'll be doing things that I'm going to be eating in spring during the Hungry Gap. So early kales, early cauliflowers, early calabrese, salad onions, those sorts of things. And putting back things that, as I say, I'll be harvesting later on, because there's loads of time. So for anything that you're going to be harvesting in kind of, you know, summer or autumn, there's still loads of time to sow all those things in February and March. So anyway, that's the kind of way that I think about it. And I just think, as a general idea, it's worth really understanding why you're sowing something at this time of year, because it's not a great time of year. Of course, the final point is, I've got quite a lot of grow lights. I'm sitting in front of my grow lights here. I've got some more grow lights upstairs. So really, it matters very little to me when I sow things, because the grow lights kind of mitigate that and make any month like any other month that I want to create. But I've only got limited grow light capacity. So when I'm thinking about what I grow under grow lights, I'm still using that criteria, because I never have enough grow light space for everything that I could potentially sow. So I'm always thinking, sow the stuff that I want to eat. One more example just to illustrate that point. I'm sowing my early salad potatoes. Now, I'm only going to sow the absolute minimum of these in January, because there's absolutely no point sowing more than you can eat in a 2-week period, because for every 2 weeks you delay, you'll get a much better harvest. So it's much better to sow every week or every 2 weeks a small batch, and then your harvest is going to be better and better and better and better, rather than sowing them all early and then risking a lot more of them dying in the frost. But they'll all have a poor harvest if you sow them early. But for a very small number, just to get a really nice early harvest, it makes sense to do a few in January if you've got the space, the time, the appetite for risk and all of that. So anyway, hope you found that useful. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.